so we can be free. All the things you said, running through my head, running through my head, running through my head. All the things you said.
Hey guys, welcome to Jungle School Episode 2. It's been a fairly long wait since I made the first episode, but Episode 2 is finally here, so please sit back, relax, and take notes if you're serious about it, but ultimately, enjoy the video. Okay, so Episode 1 was kind of a test run as to how you guys would like this kind of video and what direction I could take it from there. I've decided to be a little bit more formal with this video, and so I took down some of the topics that you guys suggested in the comments, and I'll be focusing in on those points for this episode. Those points are as follows: jungle clearing, which smite/potions should you use, how to deal with early game junglers as a late game jungler, and the concept of invading and getting invaded on. So first, let's start with the easier topics, jungle clearing. This topic can be broken down into three important tasks: starting the right items, properly kiting camps, and whether you should kill the little or big monsters first. Now, if you're wondering which items to start, let me give you a quick rule of thumb. If you're mana hungry early, start Hunter's Talisman. Otherwise, start Hunter's Machete. Secondly, if you have a weak early clear, start 3 health pots. Otherwise, go ahead and take the refillable potion. The exception to this rule is when you know you want to invade the enemy jungle early on. We'll get into that in more detail later, but in this case, you would want to start the 3 health potions no matter what. So the next thing that's important with jungle clearing is kiting camps. This is where you auto attack the camp and then you break the animation and start to path away from the camp until your time between auto attacks subsides, and then you can auto again. This is the most important mechanic in clearing camps efficiently, so it is very important that you do this. As you can see in this clip here, I'm auto attacking, then I step back and make the blue buff chase me, thus canceling his auto attack and saving me some damage. This pretty much is only detrimental in the early game, as once you get some items, you really won't take that much damage anyways, but I would just get in the habit. Lastly, you should know whether to kill the littles or the bigs first. Now this is very simple. If you plan on smiting the camp, you should kill the big monster first. If you don't have smite available or you just don't plan on using it on that specific camp, then take out the little monsters first. It's been proven time and time again by high elo junglers that this is the most optimal way of clearing. The next simple topic is which smite and potions should you take? Now, I pretty much covered the potions with the previous topic, but some people also wonder when to take Hunter's Potion. The answer to that is unfortunately entirely up to you. If you get a little behind in the early game and you have bad sustain, then Hunter's Potion could be a good buy. So that leads into which smite to take. If you're playing a champion that isn't a great dueler early on, or just could simply benefit from better vision control, then go with trackers. An example scenario of when to get trackers is when you're constantly being counter jungled. This is when you could use the extra vision to the entrances of your jungle in order to stop the bleeding. Blue Smite is a good choice when you plan on being a ganking machine. Now this again can be any champion, but for example, if you're against a really immobile enemy team, then Chilling Smite will give you the perfect tool to lock them down and snowball your team. Lastly, we have Skirmishers. Skirmishers is for two types of junglers: the carry and the early game dueler. For example, if you're playing Master Yi, this is probably the best option because it'll help you dominate in fights. Also, if you're playing someone like Kindred and you know you're going to be invading a lot, then Skirmishers gives you a slight edge in dueling the enemy jungler. As you gain experience with each smite, you'll start to find what works best for you, and ultimately that's what's most important. Alright, now let's talk about late game junglers. Examples of late game junglers are Master Yi, Jax, Shyvana, Nocturne, and AD Fizz. This doesn't mean that they suck in the early game, it just means that they ramp up hardcore as the game goes on. I was asked the question, what do you do when you're on a late game jungler and the enemy jungler is on an early game jungler who is constantly ganking? Well, the answer to this question, of course, includes many factors. I'm going to tell you some of your options, but as somebody who primarily plays early game junglers, I don't have a whole lot of footage to really show you examples. One thing you should be doing is to take the enemy's jungle. As a late game jungler, you probably have very good clear, so taking camps is really fast. If, for example, you notice the enemy Elise gank bot lane, but you know your power spike comes later, go ahead and take that opportunity to clean out all of her remaining camps. Typically, junglers that are ganking constantly are probably leaving a lot of camps uncleared, so take advantage of the extra farm as you scale into the late game. The second thing you should be doing is helping your laners ward. It's impossible to ward every potential gank path from the enemy when you're laning. There's nothing better than a jungler who helps you ward and stay safe. If you're not really able to gank, and you know that you really need a farm, then at the least you can do is drop some wards down for your teammates that are getting camped. A simple ward or two can actually save your laners from continually feeding and thus raging at you for not ganking. It won't always help the situation, if your teammates just have terrible map awareness, but you're not them. You do your job and they do theirs. That's all you can do, and that's really all you can hope for. The last thing that you should be doing kind of builds off the first tip, and that's to take what you can while the enemy jungler is constantly yanking. With the addition of Rift Herald, there is now 2 global objectives that you can utilize on the map. If you ever find yourself struggling to gank, prepare vision in either Rift Herald or Dragon area, and while the jungler is busy on the other side of the map, the least you can do is secure some global objectives. All right, so the last topic we're going to talk about today is invading. Now, because invading is such a large topic when it comes to jungling, I'm just going to cover a few of the points of this topic, and future videos will contain more. So first, let's talk about the 2 reasons why to invade in the first place. The first reason you might want to invade is to simply deny camps. This goes back to taking camps while the jungler is busy elsewhere, if you're strong enough, you can contest camps early on and force them to back off, thus securing you extra camps. The second reason is that you want kills. If you want kills from counter jungling, you first need to make sure that you are stronger than them. If you aren't stronger than them in the early game, then it's probably best not to take this risk. You also need to know where the other enemies are. All it takes is for one of the enemy laners to roam and catch you counter jungling in order to completely backfire the whole point of invading. If you know these 2 things, you're stronger than them, and where the enemies are on the map, this is a great time to harass the enemy jungler. The first way to invade is the level 2 cheese invade. If you opt to do the level 2 invade, instead of starting Gromp or Krugs, you'll start your red or blue buff and then head immediately to the enemy's red or blue buff. You want to come through the brush when you do this in order to give them no time to react. Pick up the kill, take the buff if you can, and get out. We'll talk about more ways to invade in future videos, but for now I want to turn it around and talk about how to protect yourself from early invades. There's also 2 ways when it comes to protecting yourself from invades. The first way is if you're extremely outmatched in the early game. For example, you're playing Fiddlesticks and the enemy jungler's Lee Sin, you can be pretty sure that he might go for the level 2 cheese invade. In this case, start topside instead of bot side. This will negate his opportunity to come into your buff at level 2 and kill you. The second way to protect yourself is to ward the entrances of your jungle and to put defensive ping wards down. It's also a good idea to ping for help when the enemy jungler does come into your jungle if you think you can kill him for being cocky. Now that's it for episode 2 of Jungle School. I know there wasn't as many video examples as there was in episode 1, and I'm hoping that the next episode will have some more video examples, but I felt that these topics were pretty paramount to being a good jungler at the moment, so I just went ahead and covered them anyways. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more from me, or if you want to see the various montages that I post regularly. Thanks, and have a good one, guys.
I'm bad luck, baby, it follows me around everywhere I go. And I don't need your sympathy, no, I need a fucking miracle. Oh, red wine tea stain, it's been a long